Welcome on. Today in this video we are going to discuss the anatomy of the hepatic portal vein. Myself Dr. Ankit Khandelwal, and this is my YouTube channel Anatomy Explained. In this channel we try to discuss all the important concepts of the human anatomy. So if you have not yet subscribed, consider subscribing this YouTube channel. I have also a few Facebook pages and Telegram groups. The links of those are there in the description box below. So let us start on the topic of discussion today, and the topic is the hepatic portal vein, or simply called as the portal vein. So first of all, what is this portal vein? In our body, whenever there is a vascular system which is between the two set of capillaries, so a vascular system between the two set of capillaries, that vascular system is known as the portal system or portal vascular system. And over here, the largest portal vascular system is our hepatic portal system. So therefore the hepatic portal system or hepatic portal vein is also simply called as the portal vein. So remember, first of all, what is this system? Second thing is that what is the need for this system? The need for the system is that whenever we eat or drink anything, that part of the food or drink that goes into our gut and it gets digested over there. So all the blood vessels which take away the nutrients from there, those are the blood vessels, or you can say the veins of the gut. Those veins of the gut are actually carrying all the nutrients. So whatever food you intake, whatever drugs you take, whatever pharmaceutical, whatever toxins you have, those all are actually absorbed by our gut. So in the gut they are absorbed by the veins. So all that carbohydrates or proteins or toxins or drugs or whatever it is, that needs to be metabolized. So therefore it has to reach the liver. So how will it reach the liver? That is via this portal vein. So it is this route which takes away all the nutrients, the whatever drugs it is or whatever toxin it is, to the liver, because in the liver you have the metabolism. The liver, you have the mainly metabolism. So what is actually transported is basically our carbs and our proteins, because most of the fat is taken up by the lacteals into the lymphatic system, then from there into the thoracic duct. So you need the carbs and proteins, then whatever pharma drugs which you are having, any toxins which you take inside our body, all that is taken by the portal system. The other role of this portal system, apart from taking these nutrients from the gut, is also the organ spleen. Now the spleen is the organ where you have the sequestration or the working of the older and the degenerated RBCs. So that byproduct of the RBCs, that is hemoglobin and the hemes and the globins, they are taken up by the spleen in the form of vein of the spleen, that is the splenic vein, and then this one goes to the liver via the portal vein, because in liver you have the production of the bile. So that is another important function of the liver, that is production of bile. So how it is produced? By this bile which is coming from the sequestration of the old RBCs. So these are the two things which you have to understand, that it is a portal system, fine, but why it is needed to take all the nutrients which we take from our through our gut system, that has to reach the liver for metabolism, and then from the spleen part. So this thing should be clear before moving on to the anatomy part. Now, as we have already done in the abdominal aorta, though there is always already a video uploaded, we will just link, there will be in the description box below, that the branches of the abdominal aorta which supply the gut are unimpaired visceral branches, and these were three of them, which were our celiac trunk was for the foregut, very good. Then there was a superior mesenteric artery that was for the midgut, and lower to it there was inferior mesenteric artery that was for the hindgut. So these three vessels, what they were doing is that they was giving the arterial supply to the three parts of the gut. So therefore their counterpart or their reverse flow will be taken, or the reverse flow will be taken up by the veins. So these are supplying the nutrients, the artery branches, to the gut wall, and whatever you absorb from there, all the nutrients and all that are taken back by the veins. So for the superior mesenteric artery we have the superior mesenteric vein. For the inferior mesenteric artery we have the inferior mesenteric vein. For the celiac trunk we don't have any celiac vein. So that also we have to understand what the celiac trunk, how will the blood be taken back from this foregut part. So if you recall over here from the celiac trunk, the main branches of the celiac trunk, were basically three. Again, I uploaded a video on the celiac trunk, again the description will be there. So the main three branches were, if you remember, the left gastric artery, then there was a largest branch that was the splenic artery, and then there was a common hepatic artery. So these three arteries are being given up by the celiac trunk, so the relevant veins should be present. So we'll just see how the blood is taken back from this area supplied by these celiac trunk branches. So for superior mesenteric artery and inferior mesenteric, we have the relevant veins. For the celiac trunk, we need to understand what is happening over here. Okay, so now let us see how the things are in a process, how the anatomy of the portal vein is made up. So for that, we have to understand that superior mesenteric vein will be taking back the blood from the midgut. So imagine this is our superior mesenteric vein over here. This is our superior mesenteric vein, which is inside the mesentery, So superior mesenteric vessels both are inside the mesentery, artery and vein. Superior mesenteric vein, do remember, it lies to the right of superior mesenteric artery. Now that is a very important point. So this is your superior mesenteric vein taking blood back from the midgut. If you remember all the small veins, then what are the relevant arteries, like your jejunal branches, then we had the iliac branches, then we have the middle colic, then we have the right colic, then we have the iliocolic. So all those relevant veins will be taking the blood back away from the midgut. They will flow like this. Clear? Now this was the midgut part. Now what about the hindgut part? For the hindgut, again we have the inferior mesenteric vein. So this will be slightly smaller. We will have this as the inferior mesenteric vein over here. This will be our inferior mesenteric vein. Now the relevant veins which are draining into the inferior mesenteric vein will be those branches of the inferior mesenteric artery. So you will have the left colic veins, you will have the sigmoid veins, you will have the superior rectal veins. They all will be draining into the inferior mesenteric vein. Now what happens is that if you remember a little bit of anatomy over here, then if you recall, then we had this as the lesser curvature of stomach, the greater curvature of stomach. This was the duodenum part. Okay, first, second, third and fourth part of duodenum, and in the concavity of this duodenum we had this head of the pancreas with the uncinate process, and then it was going behind the stomach, and the tail of the pancreas was ending close to the hilum of the spleen. So this was the spleen and its hilum. If you recall over here, then the superior mesenteric vein was passing in front of the third part of duodenum. It was coming from here, it was passing in front of the third part of duodenum, and then it also lies anterior to the uncinate process of pancreas, if not anteriorly, that yes, around it only, and then it goes behind this, it goes behind the neck of the pancreas over here, So from the splenic hilum also we had the splenic vein which was coming, but that splenic vein was coming from where? It was coming in the posterior part of the pancreas, on the posterior surface of the pancreas. So splenic vein direction is this, was coming from here. So these both splenic vein and the superior mesenteric vein, they will both meet where? They will both meet around the area of posterior to the neck of pancreas, and there they both will meet and they both will form the portal vein. So this is where the portal vein is actually formed, behind the neck of pancreas. So here the portal vein is formed, and this will again ascend up. Okay, so what I'm trying to say over here is that if we imagine that this spleen over here is draining into the splenic vein, so this, imagine this to be the splenic vein, blood is flowing in this direction. Normally the inferior mesenteric vein empties into the splenic vein close to where it will meet the superior mesenteric vein. So this is where the splenic vein and the superior mesenteric vein will meet, and they both form the portal vein. This is where the portal vein is actually formed. So inferior mesenteric vein normally opens up into the splenic vein, or if not, then these inferior mesenteric will open where the splenic vein is combining, or it is meeting with the superior mesenteric vein. So these three could have a common ends over there at the upper end, or normally if it not, then inferior mesenteric vein will open into splenic vein. This is where the portal vein is actually formed. Remember, it is behind the neck of pancreas, Okay, so now till now things are slightly okay, that okay, the midgut part you have taken all the nutrients back, from the hindgut part we have taken all the nutrients back. What about the foregut part? So we'll also understand that. First let us follow this portal vein over here. So this portal vein is ascending up, and close to the liver we have this porta hepatis. It will divide into right and left portal veins. So these will be your right and left portal veins. Okay, now let us understand how it is proceeding above. So course is also important. So let us understand it. Let us draw a big stomach and pancreas over here. So remember, this is the abdominal part of esophagus. There's the lesser curvature, then the greater curvature in the stomach, and the duodenum over here, and this is parts. Remember, the duodenum was retroperitoneal apart from the, except from this initial first part. And then we also try to make over here this the pancreas, the head and ciliate process, and then this pancreas will going behind the stomach in the stomach bed, and here in the upper left part of the stomach we had this intraperitoneal organ, that is the spleen. Clear? Now let us try to draw these main veins over here. Behind this neck, behind this body and tail of pancreas, this was our splenic vein which was coming. Direction is like this. Here we had the superior mesenteric vein which was coming. Here we had the inferior mesenteric vein which was coming over here, close to the DJ flexure, that is duodenojejunal flexure, particularly into around the what we say as the paraduodenal recess. So this is your inferior mesenteric vein. It will again ascend up and it will drain into the splenic vein normally. So here they are meeting and they form what is our portal vein over here. So the portal vein is formed over here. This I'm citing P vein behind the neck of pancreas. Now it will ascend up. Now pancreas, this organ pancreas is retroperitoneal. This is all, most of the duodenum is retroperitoneal. But if you slightly remember over here, then let me show you with this color. This was which ligament? This was our lesser omentum, or we can say the hepatogastric and the hepatoduodenal ligaments. This was lesser omentum. It was going where? It was going into, it was trying to attach like this. It was trying to attach like this on the posterior visceral surface of the liver. We just did a previous video on the peritoneal ligaments of the liver. You can check out that also. So this is where our lesser omentum is trying to meet the liver. So this is the attachment of the lesser omentum into the liver. Now you look at the position of the portal vein. Look at the position of the portal vein, and over here we can make up that this portal vein will ascend behind the neck of pancreas. It will go behind this first part duodenum, and then it lies in this right free margin of the lesser omentum. It will lie in this right free margin of the lesser omentum, where you have all the three portal tritus structures, and it will enter into this porta hepatis. So there is a lower horizontal attachment of the lesser omentum on the liver. There we call it as porta hepatis, where you have the portal vein, the hepatic artery, and the common bile duct or common hepatic duct. So this is where it is going. So and then try to understand, this is carrying the blood from midgut, hindgut, spleen. Okay, portal vein. Now the main trunk of portal vein is formed close to the liver. Obviously, it is divided into right and left branches. But you have to understand this, that first the blood was coming from the gut part, which is lying anteriorly, into the behind the pancreas, that is posteriorly. So first the blood went from, all the nutrients which are absorbed, they went from anterior to posterior behind the neck of pancreas. There they met and they formed the portal vein. Now this portal vein, now it wants to go to liver. Now liver is where? Liver is intraperitoneal, it is more anterior. Therefore now this portal vein, it needs some double layered fold of peritoneum in the form of lesser omentum to reach liver. So this is the lesser omentum is providing it a way, a passage to reach the liver. So it passes through this right free margin of the lesser omentum to reach the liver. Behind this right free margin you have the epiploic foramen, and the cavity is your lesser sac that we have done in the peritoneal part, and near to this we have the cavity which is known as the greater sac. This is how the route is taken up. Now coming back to our point, that okay, what about that foregut artery and its relevant veins? So if you go back again, and we are discussing this foregut, that is the colectoral branches, left gastric artery, okay, then splenic artery, common hepatic artery. If you go through them little branches over here, splenic artery used to give off later on as the short gastric and your left gastroepiploic artery. In between it will also give off the pancreatic branches. Common hepatic artery used to give off the gastroduodenal artery. It used to give off the, what we say as the proper hepatic artery. There was continuation, and this was be a right gastric artery. So all these, they need to have their relevant veins. Gastroduodenal is going to divide into the right gastroepiploic and the superior pancreaticoduodenal artery. So that we have already done in the video. But the problem is, what about these veins? Splenic artery, we have the splenic vein, fine, but what about others? So let us try to understand in this particular diagram only that how the things are happening. So if I make over here, try to complete this foregut veins, let us draw them with some different color. Let us make these veins with this red color, just for a change, but the foregut. This color is denoting the veins related to the foregut. So splenic vein is the vein of foregut. Here you are entering what? The short gastric veins. I'm just writing short gastric veins will enter over here. Here you will enter also the left gastroepiploic veins. Okay, left gastroepiploic veins. So these are the branches of splenic vein. In between, as it passing behind the pancreas, those small pancreatic veins will enter into it. Clear? Now then it has a left gastric artery also by the celiac trunk. So you have a left gastric vein directly entering into the main trunk of portal vein with the right gastric vein. Why are they entering? Let's try to understand. Where was this main trunk? It was in the right free margin of the laceromentum. And where are the right and left gastric vessels? They are inside the laceromentum. So these vessels, these veins, they directly enter into their portal vein, main trunk of portal vein. Then if you remember again, then there was a common hepatic artery which gave off the gastroduodenal artery. Gastroduodenal artery gave off what? It gave off the right gastroepiploic artery. So there would be a right gastroepiploic vein. Now if you see at this figure, if you look at this figure, this is the location of our greater omentum. Yes or no? This was the location of greater omentum. Now here we had this as the left gastroepiploic vessel. Here we will have the right gastroepiploic vessel. Now this greater omentum is lying where? It is lying at the lower border of the stomach, that is a greater curvature of stomach, and it is covering all the relevant abdominal viscera. So therefore this vein over here, which would be our right gastroepiploic vein, where do you think it should drain? It should drain into a vein which is more anteriorly or which is lying close to it, and out of these veins, portal vein is found behind the pancreas. But before portal vein, you have the splenic vein, but splenic vein is also behind the pancreas. This right gastroepiploic vein is where inside the greater omentum. So which vein it should enter? It should enter into the superior mesenteric vein. So the right gastroepiploic vein, it directly enters into the superior, because superior mesenteric vein was coming from anterior to posterior. Then after crossing uncinate, then it goes behind. But before crossing the uncinate, before crossing the uncinate and third part duodenum, the superior mesenteric vein is lying in the mesentery. Therefore, the right gastroepiploic vein drains where? If we take again this color, the right gastroepiploic vein will drain into the superior mesenteric vein. The right gastroepiploic vein. Left gastroepiploic was going into the splenic vein. Now, there is also gastroduodenal vessel, so gastroduodenal vein. Now, if you recall the celiac trunk branches, then here if I take say other color also, let us take which color, let us take this greenish color. If you remember that this was the common hepatic artery. Okay, this common hepatic artery gave off the gastroduodenal artery behind. So gastroduodenal vessel or gastroduodenal artery was lying where? It was lying behind the first part duodenum. So therefore the vein should also be behind the first part duodenum. So vein is also behind the first part duodenum. So if the vein is behind the first part duodenum, the vein should drain where? Now behind duodenum, so it is retroperitoneal. So which is the retroperitoneal vein? We have the superior mesenteric vein, which is normally anterior, with the splenic vein which is on the left side. So which vein is left? The portal vein. Therefore it is this, again I will make this red color, this gastroduodenal vein will enter where? It will enter directly into the portal vein, because both are lying where? Both are lying in the posterior part of the retroperitoneal part. I hope you are getting the point. I am telling you the relevant veins of the celiac trunk. Okay, so we had this common hepatic artery, gave off the gastroduodenal, gave off the right gastroepiploic and the superior inferior pancreaticoduodenal. So obviously as the gastroduodenal is entering in the portal vein, along with it the pancreaticoduodenal veins, basically our superior pancreaticoduodenal veins, which also actually forming the pancreaticoduodenal arcades, vascular arcades, they will be also draining with the gastroduodenal into the portal vein only. So it is this right gastroepiploic vein draining into SMV, while there is pancreaticoduodenal vein along with the gastroduodenal entering into the portal vein, and all these relevant veins are entering into it. Left and right gastric are entering into the main trunk of the portal vein. So if we ask you about the main trunk portal vein, which are the tributaries of that? Both the right and left gastrics, and this is the pancreaticoduodenal veins. They are the main tributaries of the main trunk of the portal vein. Now the portal vein divides into right and left portal veins. Now these right and left portal veins, they are now soon they are going to do what? They are going to divide into various sinusoids, and these sinusoids are going to again converge to form the hepatic veins. So these will be our hepatic veins, and this is our sinusoids. Where do these hepatic veins they ultimately drain? The hepatic veins ultimately drain into IVC. So here we have this IVC. So ultimately whatever nutrient has been taken up from the gut or in the spleen goes into the portal vein it is metabolized inside the liver. Ultimately everything of that has to reach the inferior vena cava from here into the right atrium of the heart. So now comes the, what is there any other vein which drains into the right and left branches of portal vein? Yes, into the right branch of portal vein, into the right branch of portal vein, here the entry of the cystic vein, because cystic artery was coming from the right hepatic artery normally. Cystic vein is on the right side, enters into the right branch of portal vein. The left branch of portal vein, if you remember a little bit of embryology, then the left umbilical vein, which later on became the ligamentum teres, it directly communicated with the left branch of portal vein. So there are veins which are around that ligamentum teres, which are known as para-umbilical veins. Para-umbilical veins. These veins which are around the ligamentum teres. Why is this ligamentum teres used to communicate with the left branch of portal vein? So it is this para-umbilical vein which is actually draining into the left branch, and cystic vein is draining into the right branch of portal vein. So here what we will also have is that here a few of the para-umbilical veins going over here, and this is the entry of the cystic vein over here. This is the entry of cystic vein over here. So I hope the point is clear. So all the blood which is taken back from the gut, it is reaching the liver. Why? You know the reason. And what happens after all that blood? All blood has to ultimately reach the heart only, because that blood cannot disappear, no. So ultimately it reaches via this hepatic veins into this IVC. So you can say that the counterpart of all the anterior unpaired visceral branches of abdominal aorta, that is celiac trunk, SMA and IMA, is hepatic vein. Because there is no SMV draining into IVC, no IMV draining into IVC, no celiac vein draining into IVC. It is this hepatic vein which is the counterpart of all these three unpaired visceral branches. Okay, so again, superior mesenteric vein running in the mesentery, inferior mesenteric vein normally lies behind the peritoneum, normally enters into splenic, or it may enter over here where all these three they join behind the neck of pancreas and they form this portal vein. It is not a very long vein, around 6 to 8 centimeter length, total length of the portal vein. It goes behind the pancreas, it goes behind the first part duodenum, it runs in the right free margin of the lesser omentum, near the porta hepatis, divides into right and left branches because they are going to supply the physiological right and left lobes of the liver. Finally, sinusoids, which are the dilated capillaries. Finally, blood enters into the hepatic vein, and these are all the relevant veins. So SMV, IMV, and the relevant veins of the celiac trunk, which are these splenic veins, the gastric veins, the gastroduodenal veins, right gastroeploic. So normally there is a lot of confusion that right gastroeploic vein, is it entering into the SMV or into the portal vein? So remember that right gastroeploic is in the greater omentum, so it makes sense it directly enters into SMV. No need to go back. And when the gastroduodenal veins or the pancreaticoduodenal veins, superior pancreatico, they are actually lying behind the duodenum, so they are very close to the portal vein. So that is logical that they would drain their blood into the main trunk of the portal or near the portal vein where it is formed. And this right and left gastric, as they are in the lesser omentum, as the portal vein is running on the right margin on that lesser omentum only, so it is very logical, it is very common sense that they will also drain into the portal vein. About its various branches, right and left branch of portal vein, cystic on the right, para-umbilical on the left. So that was your basic this clinic or this anatomy part, is the gross anatomy part of the portal vein, how is it formed and what are the various veins. Now it is clinical very important. There is a portosystemic anastomosis, so that will do some other day in some other video, and that's all. So if you like this video, then don't forget to press on the like button and subscribe the channel if you have not yet subscribed. So next video is probably be going on to the portosystemic anastomosis, and you can subscribe to this channel, that is Anatomy Explained. And you can also find me on this Unacademy. I teach in Unacademy, so there's this courses running on there. The various, you can go to the unacademy.com, in that you can search for the NEET PG category. You can search my name, Dr. Ankit Khandelwal. You will see a lot of classes which are open. Anyone can just see those classes, have some idea of the anatomy from there. And if you want to enroll in this whole subscription, you can use this code also. You can enroll into the Unacademy. Okay, so that's all from my side. I hope you enjoyed the video. Press the like button if you liked it and share it as much as possible. That's all. Thank you. Dr. Ankit Khandelwal, Anatomy Explained.